I'm supposed to be writing, but I decided to go to bed instead. But I was listening to a podcast called The Clearing, and it chronicles the story of a young woman who learns that her father is a psychopathic murderer. She grew up with this man her whole life, and things that she had come to accept as being normal, she learned over time actually were not. And there were a lot of red flags with this man. His name was Edward Wayne Edwards. Red flag number one. But he was just odd. He moved his family around a lot. His daughters and his sons were withdrawn, and his wife seemed like a shell of a person, but it was because they lived with this terrible man, but they had no idea what horrors he was actually capable of. But one part of the podcast in particular stood out to me, and it was the recounting of a neighbor. She said that he just packed up his family one day, and they disappeared, never to be seen again. And maybe like a week or so after they'd been gone, a man pulled up in a car. The car was plainly marked sheriff. He was wearing dark clothing like a sheriff would wear. This was in the 70s, so he seemed to fit. He seemed to fit the description at the time. And he had a mustache, glasses, a hat, and just asked her a bunch of questions. He told the neighbor that he was investigating some crime in the neighborhood, and Edward Wayne Edwards was a suspect. So, she's telling all her business, telling all his business, pretty much playing that neighbor stereotype where they notice everything, they see everything, and they just think he's so odd. And she's really like divulging a lot of information about Edward Wayne Edwards. And the sheriff goes away after the questioning, and it wasn't until like some time later that she realized, oh crap, that was Edward Wayne Edwards. He was pretending to be a sheriff and questioning the neighbor to see what type of information she had gathered about him and his family. He set a trap, and she walked right into it. And when I heard that big reveal at the end, and of course it was more suspenseful than me telling it, but my jaw just dropped, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's so stupid. But then I had to take a step back and just realize, like, how many times do we accept things that we think are normal until we learn otherwise? You know that saying, like, when you know better, you do better? And how many Edward Wayne Edwards do we have in our lives where they present themselves to us and we believe them to be one thing, and then they do a complete 180 and reveal themselves to be someone else, only to do a 360 again. Like, people are just strange. But be wary of the Edward Wayne Edwards in your life.